Hey folks, so if you're still having some difficulty figuring out this access assignment, I want to give you maybe another chance here to kind of give it a go. So just let me show you here. These first files here um, are designed to help you figure out how to use access. So the only thing I'm really looking for is for you to, submit this last file here. So this IMGT 2400 access project, that's the one you're going to complete. You're going to need, these files here in order to be able to complete the project. So I'm going to download these right now. And there's going to be several files in there. But you're also going to need to be able to look at this document here. So I'm pressing the Control key, and I'm going to click on that just so it opens up in a different window. And there it is. Okay, so I've got these two things going. And here is the PDF. So this is the assignment, actually. So you're going to create this database here. And I'm going to open up these zip files, and you have to extract them before you can actually use them. So I'm just doing this kind of quickly so you can slow it down. There's 4 files that are going to be in here. So these things have data that we're going to use. So there's an access database, there's another access database, there's a text file, and there's a spreadsheet. So those 4 files are going to get used for this particular assignment. So you have to go through this step by step. This is not Word and this is not Excel. So Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel allow you to kind of do this a little more free form. If you don't start in the order in which they're telling you to do things, it's just not going to work. So we want to start off by creating a new blank database. So when you want to launch Access, and you could use 2007 through 2016, they're pretty similar. And so what they're saying is that they want to call this the involved database. And it's actually somewhat important that you follow these naming conventions. You don't have to, but I'd recommend it. The other thing is you want to put this someplace where you can remember where you put it. And I don't really care what that is, but you should probably try to figure out some sort of plan for where you're going to put your documents at. So I'm going to put mine, where am I going to put it? I don't really care. I'll just put it on my desktop so I know to delete it. And you can see here it says Microsoft Access 2007 through 2016 because they're all similar. So once you have it put where you want to put it and named where you want to name it, I'm going to create this guy. And now I've got a blank database that's been created, hopefully. Oh, it looks like it might have crashed. Hello? 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 Guess I should have put it somewhere else. Okay. So we'll open up Access again. Oh, it did work. Okay, so there it is. I'm having a tough time here. I don't know why. Okay, so here's my database, my involved database. It's all blank. And it does show that there's one table in it. I'm going to delete that because I want to start off with nothing. Okay, so I've got nothing in here. And I want to create a table. So there's a table. So I've got table excuse me, table 1 out here. And we have a blank database named involved, and we have table 1 now, and we want to rename the default primary key ID to member ID. Notice that there is no spaces in this at all. Okay, so how do we do it here? It's kind of hard to do actually with this. So if I right click on it, I can rename the field and call this, I think it was member ID, wasn't it? Member, no space, ID. ID is in all caps. And they want you to change that member ID to short text. And so the way that we do that is we make the field highlighted in gold. I click beneath it, and I'm in the Table Tools Fields, right now this is set at an auto number. We want to change this to short text or else you won't be able to adjust it. So now we've just made the adjustment. So we've got steps 1 and 2 done. So add the following 5 fields to the new table in the order shown. Notice that they don't have any spaces in between these things. And that's really important. If you don't do that, you are going to have a problem. So it's giving you the type of field that each one of these should be. So first name is a short text, last name is a short text, phone is a short text, email is a hyperlink field, and birth date is a date time field. So the way that we do this is you could do it a bunch of different ways, but we're going to add a short text field, and it's telling us that we want to call this one first name. And then we're going to do another short text field. We're going to call this last name. There's no spaces in here. Forget what the other one was. Phone is short text. We're going to do a hyperlink field. And this is going to be called email. I think there's one more here. Birth date is going to be a date. Birthday. So now we have our fields all set here, and we are going to save this as member. So that's the last step in step 3. So save it as member. So what we do is we come back here, because Access doesn't save structural changes to a table, it only saves the data that you enter. So if I click save, it tells me what to change it to. And I'm going to change this to member. Okay, so now we have the member table. We can close that over here on the right hand side, and now I can see that I've got one table down below and it's called member, and I can double click and open it, and this is called data sheet view. So if I click on view, I can see that I've got 2 different options. This is design view and this is data sheet view. So you can flip between the 2 of them. When you are entering data, you want to be in data sheet view. When you're making structural changes, this is probably a better place to be, because you have access to easily change the structure of the thing. Let's go back to our instructions here. And we've done steps 1, 2, 3. Enter the record shown below in the member table. For the first record, be sure to enter your first name in the first name field, your last name in the last name, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is how data entry goes here. So let's go to data sheet view and forget what the number was, 1025. And these are really important, the member IDs. So any of the ID fields are really important. Her and whoops, 1111 2012. Okay, so we've got one field. I'm not going to go through all of the data entry because you could probably do that yourself. Okay, so that's how that works. These ID numbers here are critical. If you mistype them, you might end up with a real problem here. So Tamara created a database named Club that contains a volunteer table with the member data. So basically what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get information from somewhere else. Okay, so Club has a volunteer table with member data. The member table you created has the same design as the volunteer table. They're identical. They just have different data. Copy all the records from the volunteer table in the Club database and then paste them at the end of the member table. Okay, so the way that we do this is we go back here and we find that Club. Okay, I think it was Club, right? Yeah, Club database. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Okay, so copy all the records from the volunteer table in the Club database. So we want to find the Club database. Open that guy up. Enable the content. Double click on the volunteer table. Select all the records. You can do this a bunch of different ways, but I would recommend clicking there, pressing Control and C. You could also come up here and you could choose copy, and we can just minimize that guy right there. I can right click, maybe not. Maybe I didn't copy them all. Okay, so I copied, paste append. I pasted 31 records. Are you sure you want to paste? Yes. So now I've got 32 records plus whatever it is I haven't already entered in the database. So that's one table that's all set now. So let's go back to the instructions and resize the datasheet columns so that they fit properly. So if I come back here and I can highlight this, go to split cursor in between two of the columns, and then it automatically resizes everything. And that's the resize. So they want us to enter some other things for field sizes and for descriptions. So I'm going to show you where this is, and I'm not going to deal with all this. So if you go to View and Design View, this is where you can enter additional information for description. So you can also come down here. So whatever column you have highlighted, you can change these various characteristics down here at the bottom. So if you want a different row or a different field, you can change that one. You got to make sure you have the right field selected. You see the little key there means that it's the primary key. So you're going to save and close that table, and you're going to create a new table in Design View using a table design shown below. So you're going to create a new table with these three fields in it, and it's going to tell you which things to use. So to create a new table, I'll just close this one, choose yes, go to create, choose table. We have another new table 1, and let's just pretend that I've entered all of this information in there. If I choose save, it's going to prompt me to rename it, and that name is going to be so it's going to be the project table. Or is that right? Yes, project table. Okay. I come back here and I call it the project. So now I have member and project. And I go back to my instructions. So I need to do all those different things there. I need to enter that data, but just remember that the way that you get to these different elements is to go to Home tab, View, Datasheet, Design View. So that's how you can get to those different ways of looking at the database. So now you're going to use the Import Text File wizard to add data to the project table after you've done all those changes up above. I didn't make all the changes, so I'm not going to do that. But essentially, the way that you do it is go to External Data, and you want to import. So you're going to be over here. You want to import, and you might have to choose from a file. And if it's a text file, you choose text file. Some of you might actually have this stuff show up automatically here. Just depends upon what update you have. So from a file, import text file or Excel. This is exporting, so just pay attention to that. It says export. Go back to our instructions. See if there's anything else. Okay, so what I want to show you is what a finished document's going to actually look like, and I think I just downloaded one of those. Okay, we'll see if I have an involved database here somewhere for you to look at. Okay, so this is what the final project should actually look like. So I kind of skipped around a little bit, but basically you're looking for 3 tables. You're looking for 1 query, 1 form, and 1 report. So one of the tables should look like this. And if I go to the Home tab, I can show you what the structure is going to look like in Design View. So you can see what each one of those fields should be looking like in that particular table. So use this as a model. So if I go to the project table, this is what the data sheet view looks like, and this is what the design view looks like. And notice down here is the field properties for each one of these fields. Okay, service table, that's the data sheet view. This is the design view. Service ID field, project ID, member ID, service date, activity, hours, all those different details. If I double click on the query, oops, I gotta close this stuff here. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And if I double click on query, this is what the query, well, for this project is actually looking like. If I double click on that form, that's what that form is going to be looking like. I can toggle through these things at the bottom. And then the last but not least, the report called service list. And this gives you kind of a decent idea of what this should actually look like. So you'll need to go through the rest of the steps in order, and ultimately you're shooting for this final step, this page 27, to create the relationships. And notice these 1 to infinity. This is a one-to-many relationship. And what it means is that in the member table, there can only be 1 member ID. So like you can only have 1 social security number. But in the service table, you might have a whole bunch of those same member IDs because 1 member might do multiple services. And the service table has project IDs that could be infinite, and it is linked to the project table. So each service that you have is linked to the project table. There can only be 1 project ID, but again, there could be people doing multiple service for that. Okay, so those relationships have to be built. Like that is really the goal of the assignment, is to establish these relationships. Otherwise, you could have just done that in an Excel spreadsheet and kind of accomplished about the same thing. It's just that access is really clunky if that's how you're going to use it. So that relationship is what you're gunning for. So if I come back here and I want to see my relationships, I go to Database Tools, and I come to this part, and you can see that these relationships are built. And if I wanted to add relationships, I can click on the Show Table, and I could add some more. There's no sense in it because I've already connected all of my tables with relationships. So that's about as much help as I can give you without kind of completing the assignment for you. So hopefully that'll be somewhat helpful for you to kind of get jump started here. Okay, thanks.